Hey guys, Danny here with Danny Gustin Fitness, here with my co-host Nico, as well as Gerry Robles, the founder, president, what would you call yourself?
Founder's fine, yeah.
Founder of Art of PT. It's a physical therapy company in Naperville. Gerry's a good buddy of mine. He's an awesome guy, authentic. He's got a lot of good things to offer. We have some laughs during this conversation, learn a little bit about Gerry's history, talk about sports, some more deep stuff like subconscious feelings and how they affect pain. It's a very interesting conversation. The hour just flew right by, so I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And thank you for tuning in. All right.
What's up, dude?
Gerry.
How are you?
Gerry. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Dude.
Do you actually?
I do.
Okay.
So
How old are you?
30.
Okay, you remember it. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Is he dead?
Mm-hmm. This is where we need like a Joe. This is where we need Nico to be. What's Joe Rogan's dude's name?
He is dead. Yo, yeah. Pull that up.
What's his name?
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull that up. I'm pretty sure he is though.
Oh, well, that sucks. Yeah.
Have you gotten to the age yet where?
Oh, we're just talking. Okay.
Yeah.
I like this.
Have you gotten to the age yet where you've been painfully aware that you are not young anymore?
Oh, man. I think like recently, yeah, because the whole like trying to hang out with your friends at night, like past 11. It's like I want to just go to sleep and that's it. But I would say that's when I feel like my age, which is 35, by the way. So
Yeah.
how old are you?
I thought you were a little younger than me, actually.
I just look younger than
I'm 30.
you, but-
That's true. You're 30. I'm 34.
Okay. Yeah.
So you were 2007?
For high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. When's your birthday?
February 18.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
What's your birthday?
June 30th. I'm a Cancer. So, you know what that means.
It means...
I don't know what that means.
I don't
I
know
always
what
say it
means
means
either.
I'm sensitive and I'm a murderer or something like that. But yeah.
Well,
two
let's
opposite.
call the cops.
I'm emotional too, by the way. That's what that means, being a Cancer.
So I'm going to try to say things to trigger you today.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Well, we already talked about a few topics, that could get sensitive.
What are you? What sign are you?
I'm an Aquarius right on the border of being a Pisces. So I think the cutoff is to the 18th is Aquarius, and then the 19th is Pisces.
What's your wife?
She is whatever November 29 is. I think that is Sagittarius.
Okay.
Aren't those not compatible?
You want to pull that up or?
I guess it's time for a divorce.
Look that up.
We got so far, but
You should actually look that up because there's like a bunch of compatibility stuff that you could look up, like, if you guys are actually a match or not.
do you believe in that?
No, but I just hear it a lot. I mean,
Because I have some clients who,
oh yeah,
and friends who are like, they're all about it.
people are super into it, but I'm aware of it. I just, I try to stick to real science,
Yeah,
so
I feel you.
sometimes,
The first time I was made aware of my age, I was actually only 26.
Okay.
And I'm taking an anatomy class at Joliet Junior College. And the teacher liked me because, like you, I'm pretty social.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk. And so the teacher's like, he's talking about Back to the Future, right? Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how awesome Michael J. Fox is, how awesome that movie is.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys probably don't even know who Michael J. Fox is. And I start elbowing the girl next to me. I'm like, we know who Michael J. Fox is.
Yeah.
And she just looks at me like,
Oh wow.
and I was like, I have to get out of here. I'm withdrawing from this class.
Right.
Seriously, I'd never felt that way before, of just being like, oh, this is that clear distinction of pop culture references.
Yeah, that gap of knowledge. Yeah.
And now it happens all the time because Nico's a little bit older, but a lot of our trainers are 24, 25.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So they're saying stuff like
TikTok.
bussin' and no cap and
glazing,
right?
What's another one? Oh man, there's like one for for like a butt or something, like a big butt, like a nice butt. You know what I'm talking about, Nico? Or no?
Yeah, I know.
It's not like a wagon or something. It's like another word for it.
A wagon.
You know what
I
I'm
love
talking about?
I do.
It's like a three-letter word, I think, but someone told it to me recently. But anyways.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
I have to
Bussin'.
say, well, I think I do enjoy sus.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Sus it's pretty funny. It's got comedic value. You know, just
Yeah.
like, that's sus.
I like it too. Yeah.
I even told one of my clients who's 7 years old. He goes, sus. That's sus. He's like, I like that. There's been a number of things that you've helped me with and actually impacted me as far as like my philosophy on.
Well, I'm gonna call you out right now because I haven't seen you in a while. So.
Well, you know, that goes both ways.
Does it?
Why not?
Okay. I mean, yeah, but like you were seeing me for something specifically, and then you had a kid, so I guess that's a good excuse.
Built-in excuse for
Sure,
everything.
yeah.
Like I have friends who are just like, hey, dude, I haven't heard from you in a while, and I'm like, kids.
Yeah, that's all you have
My
to
wife's
say.
like, why aren't you doing the dishes? Kids.
Kids. Yeah.
It's just built in. We'll
Okay.
get together again soon.
Will we?
You can
though?
fix me and talk about
I was, and then
talk
you-
about MMA
And then you trailed off again.
because
but-
you fixed me.
Are you?
Yeah, actually, I'm.
Do you feel good?
I would say so. The things that I've seen Gerry for are knees, which Gerry helped. Okay, so I got to talk about the knee because that was like one of the times you probably made a significant like impact on me as far as like how I view fitness, how I view physical therapy.
Yeah.
So you were the person who introduced to me the idea of functional pain.
Functional pain.
And so what you explained to me, because honestly,
Oh, I see, yeah.
I spent so many years, like once my knees started bothering me, because I have arthritis in both my knees, and I've had meniscus tears, and you know whatever.
Yeah.
I have chondromalacia, all that good
Who
stuff.
doesn't, Danny? Who doesn't?
Right? Okay. Don't minimize my pain, my struggle. So, but you were the first person to introduce to me this concept that not all pain means stop. And so I
Right.
found myself in this situation where I basically just kept avoiding stuff.
Yeah.
And then I met with you as far as my knees went, and I was glad you just reached out to me out of the blue. That's how we met. You know, you were just like networking.
Is that how we
and-
met? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. When I first started, yeah.
And I'm doing, a squat or some sort of exercise involving load
Yeah.
bearing on the legs, and I'm like, God, this hurts. And you're like, well, tell me about that pain. And so you were the first person to really bring that to my attention, that there is a functional level of discomfort that you can work through and is actually going to be productive. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously that can go too far to where it's going to be,
Yeah.
unproductive or diminishing returns,
Sure.
or detrimental, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
because
anytime.
that was like actually a shift in my philosophy as
Yeah,
far
I
as I
mean,
viewed fitness.
Us PTs were always kind of like, our physical therapists, doctors of physical therapy, we're always kind of viewed as the massage people. Like people come in, patients come in, we massage them. That's all we do, and then they leave. Like we're just like synonymous with massage therapists and even personal trainers and stuff like that. Like we're not really good at separating ourselves from the usual healthcare pack. So, we're movement specialists. So, pain is a signal for change, but it also doesn't mean don't move. It means you should probably move more, but also move in ways that alleviate that pain. And that's our job, is to kind of get you guys moving. On that spectrum of, we want to stress your body because your body adapts to stress, but also we don't want to overstress you to where we're irritating that pain again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's the gentle balance as we, what we do as therapists to get you guys more functional and more pain-free. But, it takes time. As I always say, we're not robots as much as, we love to give that whole we're machines analogy, but we're not. We take time to adapt to certain stresses. It's the same thing. I mean, exercise takes time for you to, get stronger, build muscle. Same thing with pain. It takes a while for your body to unlearn that pain if it's a chronic issue. Like for you, you've had it for years, so it might take a little bit longer for your body to kind of readjust and for your nervous system to kind of adapt again to being pain-free. And it takes time. And that's the hard part about, being in healthcare, is communicating that to people, because they want to be fixed now. And that's not how the human body works, unfortunately. I mean, sometimes, you'd be surprised. Some people get better after 1 or 2 sessions, but I'm not going to claim to be some sort of magician with my hands or, exercise specialist that just give you one exercise and you're better forever. That's not how, shit works. I don't know if I could swear on this, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's we were talking about that earlier today, not Nico and I, but one of our other trainers, that the idea that it can be frustrating, but it's also kind of a challenge for us to figure out how to take people away from the magic bullet mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Of like, because you can take medicine and feel better, sometimes instantaneously.
Right.
And that you could see why that would be tempting, but at the same time, that isn't what's going to necessarily translate to long-term sustainable results. It might make you feel better in the short term.
Right.
Do you
Agreed.
find that that's something you have to sort of evangelize on behalf of a lot as a PT or physical therapist?
Yeah, I mean, pain is very complicated. So, again, it doesn't take just one thing, one treatment, one dry needling session, one cupping session, one crack in their back session. Most of the time, it's a lot of the sessions I do with people is talking to them, the old PT joke is we're also mental therapists because we're always talking to people and, we like to talk, which is good.
Yeah.
But, and it's fine. I love educating on pain, on movement, on stuff like that. But that's a good thing, empowering the patient, nothing beats that in my book. You know what I mean? Is teaching them how to move again, how to exercise again with less pain. And they come in and they tell me hey, I can squat again with no pain. I can do whatever again, whatever sport. I could do jiu-jitsu again with no pain. I could box again with less shoulder pain.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't do a lot of hands-on stuff. It's just me kind of teaching them how to move again. Maybe a little bit of hands-on stuff here and there, but I'm not saying I never do that, of course. But
you've done that.
Yeah, but a lot of times it is just talking and educating, and to me that's the fun part because again it's empowering the person to not rely on us all the time. And it might not be the best marketing gimmick, but we're working for the patient. You know what I mean? Not for money. So
yeah, absolutely. And
also money, but
I mean, well, you got to eat, right?
Yeah. But
so one of the things you and I talk about a lot is mixed martial arts, right? And so you just mentioned, the boxing, the jiu-jitsu, right? Mm-hmm. How did you initially get your exposure? Because even on your website, right, when you look up artofpt.com, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So even when you look at that and you look at your bio, that's one of the things is Gerry is this jiu-jitsu practitioner, lover, or MMA guy, boxing, etc. And even we'll get to this later because we could probably talk about this a lot as far as your vision, right? I know what one of the visions you've expressed to me as far as what you'd like to do with having a facility, including stuff like that. What was your initial exposure to get more into kind of the combat sports side of things?
I mean, I grew up loving boxing. I wouldn't say I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I've taken, a few classes here and there, but I love all combat sports. I love more striking side of it, so boxing, kickboxing. But ironically, I get more jiu-jitsu people, but
because we're getting beat up a lot.
Yeah, a lot of back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. But I just love it. So and I felt like there was a niche there for a physical therapist to kind of get more involved in, since it is kind of booming now, I guess, the UFC and combat sports in general. It's kind of making a comeback. Even boxing now is I think it's pretty huge again, honestly.
Boxing is there's a couple the Usyk Fury fight.
Yep.
That was huge, and then you have a Tank.
Yep.
Tank Davis. What was the big fight with him recently?
Oh man, I don't remember.
See, I forget a lot of the names because I'm more into the MMA, but I do have to say not focusing on it, it's hard not to at least hear about it more.
Right.
Where for a while it was basically what's going on with Canelo Alvarez, and if
which he's fighting soon, so yeah.
Right.
Which I forgot the guy's name, but he should beat him. But anyways, besides the point,
Yeah, but and then you even have this
celebrity
boxing stuff, right?
Right,
With Jake Paul.
That's helping,
It's kind of fun.
He's a huge name, and the fact that he's getting more eyeballs on boxing, I think is great. You know what I mean? And he's a good boxer, so
He's legit.
Yeah, he really is.
And he's an athlete too.
Oh yeah, I mean both of them are, Logan and Jake for sure.
Yeah, weren't they both, if not college, high school wrestlers?
Something like that.
They're
But
both physically fit. Obviously,
yeah,
they both
yeah.
look very athletic. They're bigger guys.
So they're fun to watch. They're good promoters. I mean, why not? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, there's enough. I mean, just like a podcast, right? I mean, how
Right.
many flavors of a podcast are there? It's the same thing with combat sports to an extent, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's room for stuff like the bare knuckle fighting championships.
that's fun too. Yeah.
Even though I
brutal, but
have a hard time watching it,
it's tough,
just because
yeah.
it's just every hit you just see their face just get
crazy,
so
yeah.
warped. So
Yeah.
if you're the faint of heart, the BKFC is no good.
Yeah.
That might be
It's a
like
little
watching
crazy.
a horror film.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so you basically how you got into it is just you grew up liking boxing.
Loving it. Yeah, watching it all the time. It's my favorite sport by far. Maybe not by far. I love football too, but and baseball. But I would say it's number one in my top three. So, and they're always getting injured. So why not help them out?
Yeah.
You know?
So you mentioned obviously that jiu-jitsu guys hurt their backs. They get hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I could obviously make my own speculation, but you're here, right? So why do you think
Yeah.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners get injured so often?
Oh my God. Well, was your injury?
So that was
from
my second
too?
thing, was my lower back.
Yeah.
And so
Do you think it was from that, or I don't remember like what we?
I think it is. I think it was jiu-jitsu, and I'm gonna call myself out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's also when I sit on the toilet for too long playing chess.
You did mention that. Yeah, that's right.
So I'm just like,
So any
I'll call
prolonged.
myself, it's like doing this. Who would have thought doing this for 15
how long?
minutes or whatever? 10
How long do
minutes.
you actually sit there?
Sometimes 10, 15 minutes because I'll
No.
just get into
you do
a
longer
game.
than that. You told me.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just the whole day. I blame kids again. Anytime there's something weird
You said
or
you were
off-putting,
hiding.
I'm just like, it's kids.
You said
right?
you were hiding. Yeah, he's hiding from his.
That's
kids.
my safe
What a
place.
dad.
I'm just
What a
like,
dad.
I'm having issues, Crystal.
Father of the year over there.
Father of the year.
That's the
hey, we all
Pisces
need,
or whatever.
We all need our safe space.
Yes.
Right. But no, I mean that. But I think the initial catalyst for it was probably, my speculation would just be some of the times I'm doing bridging
Yeah.
and not properly bracing, and
Yeah,
my core is
part
not
of it.
activating,
Yep.
so I'm putting all of this asymmetrical torque on my spine as I'm doing that.
Right.
Or even just in general, obviously when you're in jiu-jitsu and you have someone in guard, if someone stacks on you and your hips are up here and they're compressing down on you,
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's not a friendly spine thing.
No. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
those motions and the constant stress and the repetitions of those, like when you're rolling, it's it'll take its toll. So
Yeah.
it could happen suddenly or it could happen over time. So I mean,
Yeah.
again, pain and injury, it could either happen fast or gradually over time. So I would say the repetitive motions of those awkward positions isn't friendly to everybody. So it could definitely cause injury and pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that is, I would say, distinct about you as far as how you approach physical therapy is you look at it holistically,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the times I went to see you, you'd be asking me about my stress.
Yeah.
What's your stress like? How have you been eating? Been drinking enough water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, have you been doing the exercises and things
Yes.
that we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
But that was obviously things like that, as well as, hey, how has your jiu-jitsu sessions been going? Have you been
Right.
rolling more than usual? Are you making sure you're getting a proper warm-up?
Yep.
So
Are you?
no, still I'm really not with jiu-jitsu. And the tough thing I find myself in is it's normally works best for me to go there at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
one of the days of the week. I mean, right now I'm only doing it once per week because that's
Okay.
all I can handle with
Mm-hmm.
kids. But it's 6 p.m.
Don't
and
have kids is what he's
Right?
saying.
No. Definitely have kids if you want to.
Yeah.
I love my kids, and I would not imagine my life without them. But
Yes.
it does not come without sacrifice.
Yes.
So I'm off at 5:30, and it takes me 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
So basically, I have to be done, get out of here,
Right.
get there,
Yep.
and then change. And so by the time I get there, a lot of the times I'm having to do an accelerated warm-up. And I don't know how to
Yeah.
get around that short of finding a new place that maybe offers 7 p.m.s, which I don't want to do that either just because I have all these built
Right.
relationships.
For sure.
So I don't know, the not perfect solution, but solution I've found so far is just maybe skip some of the initial class. So maybe
Okay.
while people are drilling a takedown or whatever,
Yeah,
I might just say, hey, I'm just going to sit over here and I just need to stretch a little bit more, just warm up
That's
a little
fine.
bit more,
Yeah.
mobilize my hips, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's probably been the biggest thing whenever my lower back is bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
From having worked with you, you helped me provide a great foundation, but also helped me identify that probably the two biggest things that seem to be common themes when my back is bothering me, other than my chest habit, is when my hips are getting really tight, especially into opening external rotation,
Yep.
and I'm just not doing enough just core work, right?
Yeah.
Like just getting some planks in,
Right.
getting some just stabilizing,
Yes.
right? Getting that whole deep layer of the core just fired up.
Yep.
And so that's kind of been my maintenance plan is when it does get bad, I might, just like the other day, I was feeling a little stiff in my back, and
Right.
I took about a half hour just to roll out my hips.
What do you think causes stiffness?
In my hips,
Yeah.
I actually think the thing that causes the stiffness in my hips is the fact that I do favor my knees. So
That's right. Yeah. The knee
So
stuff
every
too,
once in a while when my knees are feeling stiff, I think I'm making a significant effort to walk intentionally, and I'm probably
It's part of it. Yeah.
and I'm probably just by default sort of getting a little bit more stiff throughout the lower body just to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good solution because I would love to know if you can explain why this is working, but one of the things that's helped me stand all day, because these floors are not forgiving. This is basically just concrete under this. And so, you and I have talked about this too, right? You feel it more in your ankles, right, Nico?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just standing on concrete for 9-10 hours a day
Yeah.
can be rough. And that's when I start to notice as the day goes on, my knees feel a little bit more stiff, especially. But when I make an intentional effort to kind of squeeze my glutes, and like really stand upright to make sure rather than maybe my knee taking the stress, but my glutes are like getting extension through my hips as opposed to my knees. That seems to have really helped with just how I'm able to
agree
kind of
with that.
manage my day to day.
Yeah.
So why do you
Agree.
think that is? Why do you think that?
I mean, like you just said, the contraction of your hip muscles are taking stress off your knees and your back. The biomechanical way, you could say it that way. But I mean, as you know, like I love explaining things in the biomechanical model because that's what we do as PTs. Is like everything's biomechanical, everything's physical, everything is anatomy for us, and it is. That's one huge part of the equation. But especially with back pain, stiffness, whatever, you can't, what we talked about before, what I always tell you, you can't ignore the biopsychosocial aspect of pain, which is, how's your sleep patterns, how are your nutrition habits, your stress levels, your hydration levels. If you're ignoring all that and expecting just to get better with one exercise or a massage or someone cracking your back, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It might alleviate a little bit of it, but don't ignore the other side of the pain equation, which is the social, emotional, stress aspects of pain. So just wanted to throw that out there too, because yeah, I mean, both of us are the biomechanical people. You're a trainer, I'm a PT, so like we could explain things in the anatomical space and anatomical models, but I always try to stress to not ignore the other side of the pain equation, which is what I just mentioned, the biopsychosocial aspects of pain. So,
Well, I like that you challenge people on that because I see one of the limitations of PT models that are especially more insurance-based, right? I know you deal mostly in cash-based, right? And so you have more flexibility.
Yep.
But one of the limitations when it's in the insurance space is that it's just buy, right? We're done. right? And if you haven't explored all those different variables, okay, I fixed you, but what led to all this in the first place, right? What was it? The fact that you're sedentary? Was it the fact that you don't warm up before you swing your golf club? Is it the fact that you don't sleep enough and your body's just chronically getting breaking down between that and stress? So I love that you challenge people on that to get them thinking, because I believe that is going to lead to more sustainable results.
Yeah.
If you don't, and if you don't address that, it's just going to be, to a certain extent, okay, I fixed you, and I'll see you again in a year or two, right?
And again, I'm not the expert on mental health or whatever, nor do I claim to be. But even just mentioning those things to people, just to kind of get them thinking about it. Like you said, there's a lot of, it's crazy how much I hear like someone who hates their job and then they bend over to pick something up and their back pops or their back, gives out, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it that your back was super weak, or is it the fact that you hate your job and, all this
the weight of hating the job,
the stress,
snapped the back.
The stress of you not sleeping, your job, slowly killing you or whatever.
It's like hating your job is the invisible.
And it's all that,
It's the invisible 200-pound barbell on your back.
It's a big part of it, but again, they're probably also a little bit weaker in certain areas. If you want, just think biomechanically and anatomically as well. Maybe they're weaker here, and they don't exercise enough, and they're super stressed. And again, they bend over to pick up a sock, and their back gives out. Like, why does that happen?
Yeah.
It's a complicated answer, and then I don't want to get too deep into pain, but like people who, let's say that person went to get an MRI or something, and there's nothing there. Why do they still have pain? Or vice versa. Let's say they take an MRI of my back right now and there's a bunch of disc herniations, but I have no pain,
Yeah, that's true.
Explain those two things, and again, pain is separate from just always tissue damage. So, I always tell people you have to unlearn the pain. The tissues can heal, but over time you have to unlearn the sequencing of pain and the movements, the compensations you've been having. So, and it takes time, as I mentioned already, but.
Yeah, and there's so many things to that, but one thing that just stands out to me right off the bat is the idea that, like, I personally have had to work on my anger as I've gotten older.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And not responding so quickly, right? Like, if you think of your fuse being like, here's the thing that upset you, mine was more like this.
I think we talked about this. That's right. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, and so in my effort to address that, because obviously I don't want to have that example for my kids, I don't want to treat my wife in a way I should, or just people in general. I don't want to put that out into the universe. And so if I'm going to be angry, I want it to be something that deserves anger, right?
Yeah.
Because anger can be powerful. But in my effort to explore that, you have to start paying attention to things like, oh, wait a minute, right? Like, my neck's tight right now.
Super tense,
right? Like, oh, okay. Or I'm not breathing through my diaphragm at all right now.
Right.
I'm like 100% breathing through my chest, right? And even something like that, when you understand, even me just on a basic level compared to you, right? Like how the diaphragm plays a role in just the whole lumbopelvic hip complex and just your core stability, that right there could be a contributing factor
even
to lower back pain, right?
Yeah, even just like what you said, like if you're, and again, like when you're angry all the time, or not saying you, and like people in general, like your sympathetic nervous system is always on a high alert.
Yeah.
So like you're always getting ready to, fight. And that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? You have to, when your muscles, so when your body does that, you're on high alert, you're getting ready to like attack or like, fight. And if it's on all the time, it can lead to pain and injury because your muscles are always tense, blood is going to different areas that you don't want them to go. You know what I mean? Your muscles aren't relaxing. So being on that high alert is not good for, injury or causing pain and things like that. So you want to, again, think of ways to help mitigate those, if you have, anger stuff or always stressed, because your body's always going to be stuck in that mode, which it shouldn't always be stuck in that mode. That's just modern society, I guess in a way imposing that sometimes on us. You know what I mean? Always making us
Yeah.
angry or anxious or depressed or sad or mad.
Yeah.
And that's the human body doing that all the time. It's not good for anybody. So
Yeah, well, even think about, again, the sympathetic nervous system. For those who don't know, just that's going to be the fight or flight system.
mm-hmm.
Like that kind of pulls you into a little bit of a fetal position, right? You kind of it's like the lizard brain telling you to like protect your organs and tighten your chest, tighten your shoulders, like tighten here, protect vital areas, right? And like, what does that look like, right? It looks a lot like what people have to do for work all day long when they're sitting, right? So you almost get this like exacerbated, amplified double whammy of just bad juju.
Stuck in a prolonged position for a long time. Like I said, hating their job if they do hate it. I'm not saying everybody hates their job, but they're stuck, they're angry, they don't like it. It's like tensing everything up, and that's not good. So yeah.
So I've been vulnerable in saying that I sit on the toilet for too long playing chess sometimes, and I have some anger issues. What's your thing, Gerry?
Oh man, let me think here. I mean, toilet, I think, is big for guys. Like, just scrolling through stuff.
It's really all escape.
We should start a support group.
Yeah, just like...
I'm Danny, and I spent 3 hours on the toilet yesterday.
I think, did we talk about this? Like, we mentioned, I think it was you, but offhand, like, how often do you go to the bathroom without your phone?
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Have you done that, Nico, or no? Like,
Yeah.
without your phone? Go to the bathroom.
Just fully enjoy the moment.
Do you remember those days? Do you remember that? Like in high school? Like you just sit there.
Yeah.
Just thinking about life.
And you might eating like the candy.
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
You might grab like a towel and be like, okay, this is made with polyester. 100%. Like cereal boxes, right?
You're grabbing like shampoo bottles. You're like,
Right.
Oh, okay. Lauryl sulfate.
Or like the old school CD players, like you pop a CD in, listen to
Yeah.
it, and then it would like die or something, or it wouldn't work. But yeah.
Yeah, the 90s version of phones were like cereal boxes in a way.
But now you
right?
can just pull
Remember
this
that?
out?
Just
Yeah.
like you eat your cereal in the morning and you're like, okay, what's on the back of the box?
But yeah, now you just pull this out and you can, like you said, play chess, talk to people. I definitely do that too. I've tried to not do that as much because we're always on our phone, scheduling people, calling people, looking up stuff. So I try to I have sensitive eyes too. Like even I know, like when I'm looking at my phone too much, I'm like, all right, my eyes are dry and they hurt. So, what's another vulnerable thing?
Or a flaw of yours.
Flaw?
Yeah.
Oh man, none? No. Can I say
So
that?
hubris. It's not humility, folks.
What's yours? And then we'll come back to me. Do you have one?
I would just say
like
that
personality flaw, I guess.
Yeah, I would say that I'm short to get angry at times.
I guess I'm short fused too.
The interesting thing is, and I think I probably, for the brief interactions we have compared to like our whole weeks when we do see each other, I'm actually pretty upbeat and optimistic most of the time. So it's interesting. It's kind of this duality of...
I've never seen you that.
Like I'm mostly like smiling and kind of friendly energy, but then I have this other side where it's like if I am triggered in some way, it can be quick for me to go on the offense.
That's a good question.
Or
like,
defense.
You could ask. Let me ask you first. Like, what triggers you think? Because I'm the same way. I'm pretty short fused too. I think with like shitty physical therapy or insurance-based clinics.
Yeah. I would say
I start swearing. See. But
yeah, that's it. That's right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm triggered right now.
Yeah, right.
My sympathetic nervous system is.
Yeah. Jerry's back just started hurting.
I hurt my back.
He threw it out. We're gonna have to carry him out of here. So really,
should see a chiropractor.
Right?
What?
Oh man, we could get. It's so funny. So that was.
We'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So. People are going to think we hate chiropractors. No. That is not the case. I know some great chiropractors.
Do you, though?
Yes. I met that one guy.
That one guy?
No, I'm kidding. Brady McDaniel's in Naperville. He's awesome. But I would say as far as like what triggers me, without getting too into the weeds, because we could probably talk about that for a long time, or at least I could pontificate about that for a long time.
This is fun, by the way.
Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah, we should do this some more.
Right?
I think so.
Absolutely.
We got a good.
We'll have to have you back on.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm down.
Or when you have your podcast, have us on.
Sure, yeah.
And so I would say I've done a lot of exploring and work on myself as far as these things, because to me, I'm aware of how much it's impacted me from being the person I want to be, that trigger.
Okay.
And I don't want it to be a family heirloom that I just pass on to my kids. And so one of the things that I've learned from just life, having different mentors, being involved in some various men's groups that kind of focus on things like this, is when I am sensing, and I've gotten so much better about this. Actually, my wife tells me that, which is extremely validating. But I've gotten so much better about this over time, in that if I sense that someone is making me or trying to make me feel inadequate or lesser than, like the message in my brain is, this person or you are inadequate, right? Or you are not the person you think you are. You're lesser. You're not good enough. Whatever it is, that is the biggest trigger for me, right? You know, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. I mean, you know, if you're like, take for example a classic stereotype of someone cutting you off in traffic, and you're just like, I hate you, you know, like you're yelling, you're pissed. It's like, first off, that person didn't do that to you. They don't know you from Adam. They will probably never think of you again.
Yep.
Second off, why are you so pissed? Like, what message did you hear?
Yeah.
Right? Did you hear that I cut you off because you deserve to be cut off? You're an unimportant person, and if you were more important, I wouldn't have cut you off, right? Like, what exactly are you hearing? And what's crazy about that, tying it into some of these other things like subconscious, what is that? What, you might not even know you heard that message. I didn't know I was hearing it for a long time. But then you take a step back and you go, okay, you know, I got mad at Crystal because the way I took what she said is that I don't know what I'm talking about. But then when I clarify it with her, she's like, Danny, that's not what I meant at all.
Right.
And I'm like, but that's what I heard. That's what I saw. And whether or not that's from situations at school growing up in my formative years, or whether that's not, you know, like anyone growing up, you know, parenting.
No, that's some real.
Not everyone. No one has a perfect parent. I have pretty close to perfect parents, but you know, no one really goes through it unscathed, right? So, yeah, I would say that would be it. Is just when I have that trigger that, you know, again, there's like a feeling of inadequacy. I think subconsciously and now more consciously, I don't like that feeling, and so I want to squash it. Yeah. So it's almost as if like, you made me feel that way. It's time I'm going to come back at you twice as hard.
Yeah, which in the end is, you know, doesn't really help at the situation at all. You know what I mean? You're just making yourself angry, then you both get angry, and then, you know, what's the point of snapping at someone, you know? But
unless there's a good reason to.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why it's like almost like not being in this chronic stage. It's like anger can be a very powerful emotion.
Yep.
And so, but just use it when it's time to use it. Like, use it for something actually worth getting angry about, as opposed to getting triggered by like politics, because you have no control over it for the most part, right? You know, or if it really bothers you that much, like, do something about it.
Yeah. Or don't watch it. Or I mean, especially like I would argue nowadays we don't need that a lot because we're so cushy. Not everybody, obviously, but like, you know, us here maybe, like, modern society doesn't require us to fight all the time or hunt and gather or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, there's really no need for that. It's still in us.
Yeah.
We could use it as needed, like you said, but I mean, I can't think of many situations where I would need to be using that nowadays. You know?
I feel like to an extent that's why people love sports so much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like you're taught that primal battle, hungering for going to war.
Competition, right? Stuff like
it's
that.
Like, you know, think about the power of being at a stadium where a bunch of people are like saying the fight song, right? And you get the chills hearing it. You feel this energy from doing it. It's like, I feel like that's that ancient, primal, just like, we're all in on the same goal. We're going to beat the competition. Yeah. We're roaring, chanting.
What was the last game you went to? Like, what are you
I have not
thinking of right now saying that?
I kind of think actually of that. I think it's the Chiefs.
Cheap stuff.
Of
Yeah.
Right. That to me, that's pretty epic.
Okay.
But I actually haven't been to a game in a while. I think the last game I went to was during the Bulls 2021 season, which was the last season worth watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was pretty good. They beat the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Maybe the Bears this year.
We'll see.
Do you believe that they will do
One of my
something?
buddies, I was just at a wedding and I got to hang out with my buddy Doug for like 8 hours on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
And, we drove together because we both live here. It was in Minnesota. And he was all about it, right? On Caleb Williams and the changes they've made. And I'm on Keenan Allen, right? I'm like, he helped me win a fantasy football league one year.
Yeah.
And, but I look at him and I go, dude, why are we even talking about this? We know this is all just hype, right?
Yeah.
The Bears are going to screw it up. And he looks at me and he goes, Danny, this is Chicago sports. All we have is the hype. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's just enjoy it, right? Let's just enjoy the hype.
I mean, we got Hard Knocks, so they're doing. Are you watching Hard Knocks?
What is this?
Right?
Yeah.
On HBO or Max or whatever it's called.
No, what
now.
is this?
You've never seen Hard Knocks?
Mm-mm.
It's like the behind the scenes of like the Bears camp and stuff.
One team.
Yeah.
Each year.
So last year was the Dolphins?
Dolphins,
Was it Dolphins?
yeah.
One of those teams, but
It'll hype you up.
watch the first episode. It gets you.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super Chicago. Like, yeah.
Okay. Hard Knocks. I do have HBO,
Was it
so.
every Tuesday or?
Every Tuesday, like at night, like 9 or 8.
In this
p.m.
whole season, they're just following the Bears?
It's
Yeah.
just like 5 episodes or so.
Really?
The season starts.
But it's good though. Yeah.
This
It's fun.
eyelash stuck in my eye.
But it's fun. Yeah.
Don't worry about me, guys. My eye's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine.
Need some PT on your eyeball, or
Yeah, how does that work?
I'm gonna crack your eyeball.
Yeah, what's
Want
eyeball?
me to adjust your eyeball?
Yeah.
He's gonna blow in your eye.
It's gonna blow on it. Put electric stim on my eye. That'd be something.
Yeah, but yeah.
So, one of the things that I think is super cool about you is like you're pretty bold.
Thanks.
You're a pretty bold guy. I would say that's.
I love that word, by the way. Bold.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Yep.
I would say you are pretty bold. That's something that's I think distinct about you that people can pick up on from having just a few interactions
Thanks,
with
man.
you. And so I'd love to hear more about your story. I mean, obviously I've heard it, but as far as how you got from PT school to now, right? Because I
Okay.
know you have some strong feelings about kind of how you ended up where you are.
How much time do we have?
I think we got about 20 minutes.
Oh man. Okay. So like you're saying like all right. So undergrad I went to North Central here in Naperville. Got my bachelor's in exercise science from there. Loved it. Super fun. Although the school now is way better than when I was there. It's like super nice now. But
When did you graduate from North Central?
2012.
So you would have
Yeah.
went there at the same time as my wife.
Oh yeah, she went there, right?
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
That's
yep.
right. You told me that.
Accounting major.
So that was fun. And again, I took all the nerdy classes, trying to get into whatever healthcare profession, med school, PT, dentistry, whatever. I don't really know what I wanted to do. I love sports. So working with athletes was something definitely I wanted to do. So I took all those classes, the chemistries, biologies, all that stuff, physics. And my professors would be like, what do you want to do with these classes, and like what's the route you want to take? So they had me kind of shadow different professions, and I didn't like school that much, honestly. I was okay at it. I was pretty good at it, but it wasn't my favorite. So like I would just I shadowed every profession. I liked PT the most, essentially, and it was super fun. And then I got into PT school at University of Iowa. Loved it. Super fun.
What was it like doing college in Iowa? Because it sounds at first glance like the place you wouldn't want to go to college.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the state itself is like, there's nothing there at all. But like the college town is nice, but it was fun. I never been to a big time football game, so like going to those are cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, North Central now is great at football, but it's it's D3, but which
Iowa
isn't bad.
also has a huge wrestling program, right?
Yeah. Huge wrestling. Same with North Central now. The women's wrestling apparently is
Really?
really good. But anyways,
Didn't U.S. women's just win gold in wrestling?
I think they won 2 golds actually.
Really?
Yeah, pretty
Nice.
sure.
Shout out to women's wrestling.
Yeah,
Nice.
but yeah. So I went there. I loved it. It was nice. It was cool. graduated in late 16, 17 or something. Started working 17 at the, the usual outpatient physical therapy clinic. And, it's great. Our staff itself was fine. We were all friends. It was cool. We're still, cool with each other. But I didn't like the corporate structure. That's kind of why I didn't like school either, was like people kind of telling us what to do all the time, and like, you know what I mean? So
you asked me earlier what makes me angry.
that makes me angry too.
Even since I was a little kid, so I don't think that's a trauma thing. I think that's just a pure
I'm not good
personality. That's a personality thing, right?
I'm not good at taking orders.
Yep.
So, which, I'm not saying I'll never take feedback or anything, but like, you can tell when it's just like someone's just trying to be a boss at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, you would get that at the clinic I was at, the major company I was at, talking about numbers and data and like, how many patients did you see this week? Why aren't you seeing this many patients? Why aren't you billing for this more just to get us more money? Which is borderline, unethical, but it isn't. But still, like,
I see what you mean, though.
yeah, it's like, it's not cool. And, it's the whole more patients, more money business model, which works. I'm not saying it doesn't, but, it was slowly killing my soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To not be dramatic.
Just that?
Yeah, but like, and it's fun at first. Like, every young clinician fresh out of PT school, it's like, they kind of brainwash you into being like, oh, can you see this many people a day, like 20 people a day or whatever? And you're like, oh yeah, I could do it. I'm the young clinician. I could see whoever. I'm young and fit. But eventually it starts burning you out pretty quickly. So I felt that after 3 or 4 years. And I always had it in my brain to start my own cash practice anyway. And, dealing with the whole corporate side of things just accelerated the process for me. And then like in the background, I was working on my own business models and stuff to kind of start my own thing. And then eventually I started my practice, which is Art of PT, Sports Physical Therapy. Yeah. Here in Naperville.
Right.
Come check us out.
It's pretty close by here, too.
Yeah.
It's like, probably, honestly, there's times I've gotten there in like 6 or 7 minutes.
I got here 7 minutes, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we help, gym lovers, combat athletes, and
I've noticed that when I walk in, a lot of the times I see people working with you, they're like fit, almost athlete people.
Not to say I don't help out anybody, but I mean, that's my niche is like the active person. I also work at the hospital in Bolingbrook, sparingly as PRN.
Silver Cross?
Advent Health, UChicago.
Is that the one off like Lily Cash or Remington?
Yeah, so I'm there sparingly,
Okay.
but it's cool to like get the other side of PT, which is the more hospital-based stuff. But
yeah,
and it's funny how now I love, not that I didn't love physical therapy, the profession before, but like this doing my own thing and marketing, talking to people, networking is super fun for me, and I'm doing it kind of. And my philosophy is like, seeing people actually one-on-one, like how me and you are talking right now.
Yeah.
This is how I talk to everybody when I'm treating them for whatever, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain. And, this is how I think the field of physical therapy should be. Is it always practical? Maybe not, but I'll try my hardest to make it practical. So.
Yeah. Well, and there's something for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be for everyone, right?
That's fine.
The people, you're very authentic, and I would say so.
Try to be, yeah.
Yeah, so for the people who are going to pick up on whatever energy you're putting out, I think that's one of the best things you can do is just, you're not going to help everyone, but just like make a difference in the people you were sort of meant to make a difference in their lives, right?
Because
we've all worked with people who are not a good fit. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do some good work, but at the same time, you know how that can be. It can just sort of not be as fulfilling. Maybe the hour feels like it goes by longer.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't mean you can't make a difference.
Right.
It just means that, I think probably many of us life would just be more vibrant and impactful if we just spend more time being who we are and being with people who really want what we are trying to kind of offer service-wise.
Yeah.
Have you found that what have been sort of the pros and cons of being in a cash-based business as a physical therapist. Because obviously there's plenty of people out there who probably wouldn't even look at that just because they're in the traditional model of I need my insurance to cover it.
I need a doctor's referral, my PCP referral, which we don't need anymore, thankfully.
Yeah.
So you could just come see us with any pain you have. We could screen out any red flags. If there's something that we need to refer out, it's our job to do that as well.
And that was a law that was passed like maybe 6 years ago or so?
Something like that.
Something like that.
But
before that, you guys would need referrals, but now you can do that.
Thankfully now people could just come see us with whatever pain they're having. And the pro is, you can see us right away now. That's one pro. And with cash-based, the way I do it, it's all, like I said, it's all one-on-one. It's all private. I'm not seeing 3 other people at the same time like the other clinics, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm getting mad thinking about it. But
hey, there we go.
Tensing up over here.
Show us who you really are, Gerry.
Trigger.
I'm like the Sith Lord. Put my hood up while he's doing that.
But I don't do that anymore. So it's all like, you're with me sometimes. So you see how I operate. It's just me and you, me and the patient, and we just, we get to work and we talk. I do some hands-on stuff if needed. Whatever people need or I think they need: dry needling, cupping, blood flow restriction, hands-on work with like the tools or whatever. And they get better quality of care with me because I'm accessible to them. They could text me, they could call me within reasonable hours, of course. Not at 2 a.m. on a Saturday.
We all got to set boundaries.
Yeah, but I'm their personal physical therapist, as I tell my patients. So
even more crossover with PT and personal training. Personal physical therapist.
Sure, yeah.
It's already confusing enough with
everybody's
PT,
always confused,
right?
I know.
Now
we're all the same.
we're adding personal physical therapists.
We're all the same, but
we're gonna be personal physical trainers.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, but that's a major pro. That's the biggest pro for me is just working with people. Like I said, one-on-one, no distractions. It's the best way to do it because, like I said, there's nothing else getting in the way of me helping the person in front of me. So there's no phone calls going off.
Yeah.
There's no, like I said,
just occasionally having to sync up the Bluetooth on the
on the stereo. Yeah, but that's the biggest pro. Cons, like I said, it's pretty much marketing. It's tough because
just being your own guy. Having to wear different hats.
Yeah, that's definitely it's just me right now. So scheduling people and taking phone calls and all that stuff it gets a little hectic. But I would say the biggest challenge is, and that's fine. Eventually I could get some help with that. But the biggest challenge I think is, like you said, people are stuck in that insurance-based old school model of, is my insurance going to cover this or whatever. In the end, a lot of the times the price kind of evens out anyway because I'm seeing them for less time, less sessions.
Yeah.
And I get them better faster because I'm with them for longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of evens out. Instead of seeing me 3 times a week and whatever.
Which is a common recommendation.
Whatever company's billing your insurance, just, they want to see you 80 times a week to get more money or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that with, a more private practice PT like myself where I could just see you once a week. We go over a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I pick apart your programming, all that stuff, and we stay in touch throughout the week. I see them once a week, and they get better faster anyway. So
yeah. Well, to kind of paraphrase that, as far as one of the pros of being the cash-based is that you have the ability, and I feel this way about personal training and what we offer, is the sense that you're not beholden to a specific timeline. You're not beholden to specific protocols. You're not necessarily beholden to, hey, this is what insurance has authorized as far as treatment.
Exactly.
You can completely customize frequency, duration, what you do during that hour, right? And that, obviously has obvious value there, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if you look at one of the probably most common, it's pretty far away from the mic. Probably one of the most common criticisms I've gotten of physical therapy, and I'm sure you've heard over the years, is the cookie cutter idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like, actually, that just happened for one of my clients. I could just basically finish his sentences when he was talking about how he was disappointed with a recent physical therapy experience. And he's talking about how there's 3 people. He basically worked with a physical therapist for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And would oftentimes be frustrated, kind of wondering, like, guys, I don't know how to do this specific exercise.
Yeah.
And so, you end up having people, and what sucks about that is that's not physical therapy.
No.
And so you have someone who, wouldn't it be sad if that particular person didn't give physical therapy another chance and then just fully leaned into like the allopathic Western medicine, pill taking paradigm? Right? Like, you could very easily see how that could be an outcome.
Yeah.
Right? I tried PT. That didn't work. Time for a joint replacement. Time to get on pills, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not really what that is.
That's a lot of healthcare nowadays, not just exclusive to PT either. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just in and out, see the patient for like 10 minutes. All right, cool. And I've been to like visits with I go to my visits with my patients, with a knee surgeon or a back surgeon or whatever, just to kind of say what's up to the surgeon and tell them how the treatment's going and everything. Sometimes they don't even have time for that. Like, I'm trying to tell them something like, hey, they're responding well to this, or they're doing this well, or this. They're like, it's like 10 minutes and they're out of there. You're good? Okay, cool. Bye.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? We didn't even talk about the treatment plan at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, is he breathing? Okay, we're good.
Not all surgeons,
Yeah.
some specialists are great, and those are the ones I still talk to, and I have in my phone to text if needed.
Yeah.
But I've been to many where they're just like I said, in and out. Sometimes they don't even see me in there. Sometimes I just sit there to see if they'll introduce themselves to me.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not even there. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I have to be the one to be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm Gerry. I'm the physical therapist. I'm
Yeah.
this physical therapist. You're a physical therapist. They're like, oh, that's it. That's all I get. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, you guys tell me whether or not you think this is messed up, right? I mean, obviously, we're very personable. We care about people, right? So we're gonna have that probably higher. If 10 out of 10 is just being very people person, we're on the further end of that spectrum,
We try,
right?
yeah.
So I'm keeping that in mind, but at the same time, my gut feeling just tells me this whole scenario is wrong. So I wanted to switch general practitioners just because I never felt like the guy I was seeing actually wanted to be there. And so I'm just like, I just don't want to see you anymore. I don't even want to be around someone like you, right?
Yeah.
And even maybe that's not your fault because, well, you're choosing to work here, right? But,
Sure,
it's not necessarily your fault, but you're just not going that extra mile, right? No big deal, whatever, moving on. I meet with this other person who I think could be my new GP, right? She's also internal medicine, and I'm like telling her that. I'm like, I'm open to just having you be my GP if this all goes well. And she's asking me some questions about me, and I tell her that I have kids. And she goes, oh, how old are your kids? And I go, oh, yeah, my one kid is about to be 2 years old, and my other kid is 2 months old. No response. Right? I'm like,
doesn't register.
I'm like, it's not going to register you that I have a 2-month-old, right? Like, I don't need the congratulations.
They're not present.
Right?
They're thinking
But I'm
about
like,
something else.
But I'm just like, really? Like, that seems like something you would want to touch on. And then even later, she somehow drew it back to my kids about a particular conversation.
Okay.
But it was more like hey, like, what's going on? Like, does your other...
Yeah.
And then, again, I was just like,
Sound like autopilot.
Yeah, I'm like, at no point, like, you didn't think, like, I just had a kid 2 months ago. Like, you didn't think to just be, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It was just so obvious to me that she wasn't even there. So the conclusion I drew is, okay, either you're not present right now or you actually just don't care. And neither of those things are good, and neither of those things make me want to see you again. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just don't even want to be around that.
Me neither. Like you said, I mean, energy is very contagious. So, like, if you're around somebody and you can tell when someone's zoning out or they're thinking about something else or they're not fully talking to you right now. Like, you're here, Nico's here. I'm talking to just
I'm
you
like
guys.
grabbing for my... Hold on, Gerry.
Go ahead. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But put the phone away. But Yeah, I mean, like you said, like autopilot is a huge, again, I'm gonna get all deep again, but like the whole modern society of like making us work and people not liking their job and being just on, like you said, autopilot kills that presence and that soul in somebody, and it's like, damn,
Yeah.
like that sucks. Like why do you keep doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
It's fucked up. It is.
Beep.
Yeah.
So end on this, we both were talking about how we don't like listening to people, but as we're expecting people to listen to us for the next
right.
for an hour.
Only listen to us.
Yeah. But one of the things I found as I've gotten older is I'm much more willing to listen when I know, when first I respect someone, I know they have my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And it's not unsolicited, right? Even people I respect and like, if they give me unsolicited advice, I still kind of start squirming a little bit. But mentorship has become an important thing to me as I've gotten older.
Okay, yeah.
Are there any people in the PT sphere, exercise sphere, that you look to and you tend to follow or learn a lot from?
Oh, man. I mean, the old PTs that that were my CIs, and when I was interning at school, like doing my rotations.
What does CI stand for?
Clinical instructor.
Okay,
so
okay.
The ones that were good or whatever, which I had all great CIs, I don't remember a lot of them, but I email them sometimes if I need something.
They made a huge impact on you.
Yeah, clearly. But, and I hope to be that as well to students, when I get...
to be forgotten.
And I do, to never talk to me again. But I guess like mentors right now, who's like a big... I mean, this is what I'm saying too, like PTs... We're not very mainstream, and I feel like we should be, because...
That's a good point.
I don't want to get on a rant here, but like, we are the first line of defense when it comes to pain. When someone feels any type of pain, they should come to us right away. As long as there's nothing else going on, like I said, red flags, like a tumor or an extreme car accident or something. If they're having like back pain or general knee pain, come see us first, and then we can kind of decipher if you have to see a specialist or something. But most of the time you don't, and you can just come see us, and then we're good to go. We just get started right away. But mentors, who else? Who's like a PT? Kelly Starrett's a pretty good.
Yeah. Supple Leopard.
The Supple Leopard
How
dude.
to become a Supple Leopard.
I read his book in undergrad, and I was like, what is he? Oh, he's a PT. I don't even know what that is. So now I'm super into it. So his book is great. He's one of them.
Yeah, that's his life. He has a YouTube channel.
He's a great communicator.
I think it's called The Ready State.
Yeah, it's great books and stuff. So, and again, I like his vibe, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
and he's pretty fit.
Yeah,
like he's a strong, fit guy.
Yeah, just stuff like that. Helps a lot. It's not just our resumes or our certifications or our letters or education. If, like you said, being a good person gets you a long way as well. So like being present with somebody. So those are the people I look for. So he seems like that type of person. Who else is there? We probably have a lot of crossover. Who else is like a mentor?
As far as like physical therapy goes,
or just trainers or something. Who's like,
there's a couple guys on YouTube that I really like. YouTube's again just. That's a great opportunity to actually leverage the phone for something positive, right? Right. Do continuing education. There is a guy I recently started following that I like a lot. His name is, I think it's Renaissance Periodization.
Oh, yeah, he's good. Yeah,
and he's kind of funny.
He's funny, yeah. He makes it entertaining, too.
He's like you. I like how he kind of, he tries to stay empirical. Yeah, he doesn't get too caught up in the...
But he sticks his personality into it as well, which I think is good. So
yeah, and I think he's pretty real.
Yeah.
I like even some of the more silly channels. Like I don't know if you've ever seen Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet.
Yeah, they're old
actually,
school.
One of the guys actually, I think is pretty sick. I think he.
Oh really?
He's got one of those diseases where.
Oh jeez.
The speech starts to go and the muscles start to not respond. So he's actually kind of, they incorporate him a little bit here and there, but he's slowly but surely kind of been less involved.
I would watch them in PT school. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, and they're goofballs, but they have some like good traditional.
And like I said, it's their personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the combination of both that always helps. The knowledge and also being your authentic self, like you said, that shines through. But that combo is unbeatable most times. So and I try to do that. We both try to do that. You know what I mean? Try to be educated and science based, but also not being so rigid where you're just like, this person is just a textbook. You know what I mean? Like, they're still a person. They have feelings and stresses. You have to treat them as such.
Yeah.
And talk to them, like a human being. You know what I mean? We're not robots, as I always say. So.
And every once in a while, even if something is just anecdotal evidence, if there's not a strong negative to trying something,
right?
Then what's the big deal?
Yep.
Right? Maybe you do find that thing works for you, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like stay anchored in what's empirical and what's been well studied, well reviewed. But if you're anchored in that and you have a foundation in that, then feel free to experiment a little bit, right?
Yeah, and again, a lot of healthcare, especially like with what I deal with, like back pain or whatever, the most prevalent thing I see, not one thing works for everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I call it my practice the art of PT. It's kind of like the opposite side of the coin when it comes to like science and healthcare, but people don't like to hear like, oh, you're not science-based. I'm very science-based, but also I'm very human-based and person-based as well, where people need to be, sometimes I have to try different things for different people in order for them to get better. And there's an art to doing that. You know what I mean? Not just
absolutely.
like, oh, studies say this, do this. They might not respond to that. You know what I mean? And that's okay. We'll try something else.
Yeah.
There's plenty of tools in the toolbox we could try. And that's, like I said, where the art of physical therapy kind of comes in. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's end on that.
Yeah.
Gerry,
cool.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. This was awesome. We'll have to have you back on soon.
Can I plug my website or something?
Absolutely, go for it.
Is there like 1 million viewers right now or no?
I mean, we're, close to 1 million.
Website is artofpt.com. Instagram is, what's my Instagram? I think it's just at art.of.pt. You guys could just email me or call or text or shoot me a DM or whatever. I will respond. So
see, that's why I said bold, right? I mentioned that he's bold. So there you go.
Yeah.
Gerry,
bold. Always be bold.
Always be bold.
Yes.
Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks, brother.